All right, guys. So one of the things I like about King William District CrossFit Metfix Southtown is that most of our members, when they joined us, they had done no or very little CrossFit. And I like that because, for better or worse, we get to teach them from the ground up the proper way to implement this training methodology, how we do CrossFit right. And there's a phrase that's been used in CrossFit very often. You've probably heard me say this before: mechanics, then consistency, and then intensity. And so when you come into the gym, when someone comes in new, we need to teach you the proper form for everything we do. And we do a lot of different movements. And you need to learn that form to where you can do it regularly in the right way. And so the first thing is you start learning those mechanics. You start learning how to do a power snatch, and you start learning how to do a wall ball. You start learning how to do a pull up, all these things. Then you need to be coming consistently. So consistency refers to two parts of this, and I'll get to that in just a second here. Consistency refers to, one, that you're coming regularly, 3 to 5 to 6 days a week. You're coming to class more than 3 days a week. And this is why we have done all those attendance challenges, the 60 days of summer and now the workhorse challenge, because I've tried to show people this is the most important thing, that you're coming on a regular basis. This is why we don't sell punch cards or 2-day-a-week memberships or 1-day-a-week memberships. Because if you're coming 1 day a week, I think you are more likely to get injured than you are to get better. You need to do CrossFit right. You need to be doing this 3 or more days a week. But in that as well, we need to see as coaches consistency of the movements before I'm worried about you going heavy or fast. I need to see you doing power snatch and they all look the same. I need to see you doing wall balls and they all look the same. I need to see you doing push-ups and they all look the same. So that consistency refers to both the consistency of the form and the consistency of you coming to class. And then the final step, and what makes CrossFit the most effective method of working out, is that we get to the intensity. And what intensity is, guys, and let me define this: it is the maximal sustained output for a given time frame with a given load with adequate form. I don't need perfect form. The form may degrade a little, but form that is still not going to injure you. And that is the balance, that is the razor's edge we watch, of going harder and harder, and our form will degrade a little bit, but it's still fine, it's still adequate. And then as we practice that more and more, we can be more and more tired, and our form still stays good with it. And one of the things in the devil's details I've talked about is we train fatigue-resistant strength. We train being able to keep good form and lift heavy weight when you're fatigued. Because I guarantee if you can do that when you're fatigued, you can definitely do it when you're not fatigued. But the other way does not work. If all you train is strength when you're fresh, that is not going to apply as much to doing those same movements with heavy weight when you are fatigued and your heart rate is over 150. So we try to practice fatigue-resistant strength in the gym. And again, whether that is on Chad and I'm doing 1,000 step-ups and that's taking me an hour, or I'm doing Fran and I'm trying to be done in under 5 minutes, it is the maximal sustained time on both of those. That is how we define intensity. And guys, consistency is very easy to see. It's very easy to sign. It's just a math problem. How many days did you come this week? How many days did you come this month? How many days did you come this year? And that's why we've done these challenges. We've been doing the 60 days of summer for years. And we started the workhorse this year. And I have preached that a lot. And I've talked about before, what's more important, consistency or intensity? And I would say slightly more consistency. Because again, if I do 1 day a week and I'm going really hard, or I'm doing 4 days a week and I'm not going hard, I think there is more benefit from the consistency. But having said that, the intensity is something you lose if you don't use, especially as you get older. And that is the secret sauce to making CrossFit effective. If you're going to do CrossFit and not go hard, you need to go do something else. You need to go, jump on the Stairmaster for 2 hours. You need to go do that. And to work intensely, to work at your maximal sustainable output, requires a lot of mental fortitude. It requires you being willing to go there and be uncomfortable, because by definition, it is going to be uncomfortable. And the hard thing about intensity is figuring out, so as I said, we can define consistency, no problem. It's easy to see how many times you're coming. Intensity is more like porn. And I've said this before, but I forget who said it. Porn, you know it when you see it, but it's hard to define. Here's one naked girl and this is art. Here's another one and this is porn. We can both look at them. Both girls are naked, but this is an art. This is a piece of art, and this is pornography. We all know it when we see it, but they're both naked. Every coach in the gym can tell when someone is working at their maximal sustainable output for that workout. It's obvious to see, but it's hard to measure because you just kind of see it, but it's not as easily to define as consistency. And this is why we like to do challenges at King William District CrossFit, Metfix Southtown. And so, we've done the 60 days, we're doing this workhorse. Now we're doing the home cooking challenge, and you guys seem to really enjoy that. And we'll definitely continue to do that because I love the habits that's teaching about showing how easy it is and how affordable it is to cook at home and to eat good, healthy food that also tastes good. Trying to come up with a way to do a challenge or to do a measurement on intensity, I have not figured out a way to do that yet. And if you guys have any ideas, I am open to suggestions. But this is why I also, mechanics, then consistency, and then intensity, I also think refers to the life cycle of a gym. And so we have been open for 10 plus years now, almost 15. We know how to teach the mechanics. I will stack up our girls' push-ups against any gym's girls' push-ups out there. We teach proper form, and even today, I was watching Chelsea get better on the push press. I was watching Laura get better on the squat snatch. We teach good form in the gym. We're gonna get you better at that. And I can tell you, we average per member over 12 days a month of attendance, and that is like the gold standard. Because if you're averaging over 12 days, you're coming 3 days a week, you are getting results, you are getting more fit. But now I want to focus on intensity. And there's a lot of you that are already doing it, but it is something we can all get better at. Intensity is more the path we're on. It is the process. It is not a goal, because I don't think intensity, you're only as good as what have you done for me lately. You can work intensely and then you can very quickly slip away from it, and then it's hard to get back to it. So it is a process, not a goal. That is kind of the goal, is being on that process of when I come to the gym, I'm going to work hard. And this is why I think I'm more geared toward running a gym than like being in a hospital. I want to help people who want to help themselves. And I can't make you go intensely. I can't make you go to that discomfort level. I can show you how. I can try and do it myself. I can point out other people that are doing it. But you have to be willing and to go to that discomfort level on your own. And we can figure out a million reasons why we can't. I want you to figure out how you can and why you should. Because this is something I say about in relationships with a girl. Guys, as soon as you blame the girl on anything, in my opinion, you just became a pussy. You just victimized yourself and became weaker than you needed to be. A relationship takes two people. It takes two people working together, of course. But as soon as I'm hearing, well, if she'd do this, I do that. Or if she did more of this or better at that, then I do this. No, you do better and let her meet you halfway. You figure out how you can and then live with the results of that, and you're taking more charge of your own situation. And so you're going to hear me talk about this a lot more, because as a gym, I think we have arrived for the last couple years now. We've been averaging over 12 days a month per member. And it's taken us a while to get to that point. We used to not. And a lot of gyms never get there. But we've been at that point now. So I think in our life cycle, the thing to focus on now is intensity. And all of us doing it on a regular basis. And so next year, I'm not going to do the 60 days of summer. I'm not saying I'll never do it again. I might, but I'm not going to. And I'm still on the fence as to whether we'll do the workhorse or not. I may or may not. But I want to now emphasize, guys, keep coming. This has become habitual. You guys come regularly to class, and you need to still keep doing that. But you need to come. When you come, you go hard. And you guys know I program EMOMs. I program days when the point is skill and strength, and your heart rate's not going to get that high. When we're working on flexibility, balance, agility, that kind of stuff. When we're working today, I didn't want you going heavy on the squat snatch. I wanted you getting better at the squat snatch. I programmed that plenty, but it's also why I'm starting to put those rules on workouts, like tomorrow with the thrusters and the kettlebell swings, that you have to be done with round 2, I think by 3.5 minutes. Because I'm thinking through, if you're going to do at this level the right way, you need to be moving quickly. And that doesn't mean you always go RX or RX plus. Quite the opposite. It means more often than not, you may be going to the sweat option. Because a lot of you guys know, people have said this to me all the time, man, that sweat option looks harder than this one. Yes, it may not be as complicated, it may not be as heavy, but you're going to be miserable when you do it. And a lot of times it is the lighter weight. Because guys, let's say we're doing dumbbell clean and jerks, and you can do 50s, but you're going to be going slow. Or you can grab the 35s and you can rip them out, and suddenly your lungs are on fire. And I think it's Pat Sherwood that says you can go at a pace that lets the devil nestle into your lungs. And that's what I'm talking about. When it is not the weight that's slowing you down, but it's because my lungs are on fire, my muscles are burning, but I can still keep good form on these movements. I can keep adequate form on them and keep going with that. You know who does this, I think, very well and has for a while is Bill. Bill will sometimes do the plus, sometimes do the RX, sometimes do the sweaty, sometimes scale. But whatever he does, he's going to push at his maximal sustainable output on that workout and keep pretty good form on it. And that's what I want all of us to emulate, which is why at this point, when I've seen for a while now that we're coming at the right amount to get all of us better, and we will always still be working on form. We will always need to come consistently. But the next step is always going hard when you come in and it's time to go hard. And that means having your heart rate over 150, going at 90% plus on what your potential is. There was just an interview on the Savan podcast with Jason Hopper, who won the games this year. And he talked about how he was working out way less now than the year when he got cut at the games. He didn't even make the top 20 and he got cut. He was working a lot less, but there were days he'd come to the gym and if he couldn't give 90+%, he would just stop the workout. Either come back later that day or come back the next day. But when he went, he would go hard. And what was the result of that? He won this year's CrossFit Games. Biggest guy to do it. And let me tell you, if you're going to be a big guy and you're going to beat the small guys at muscle ups and handstand push-ups and burpees, you are willing to really put yourself into an uncomfortable place to do that. And that's why he is bigger than I ever thought someone would win the games. And I think Dave Castro said the same. He's the biggest guy I thought would do that, which shows how determined he was and how hard he was working on his own when he was training. We didn't see him do that, but the results were obvious when he won the games this year. And so you're going to hear me talk about this more and more as we go forward. What is my maximal sustainable output for this time frame with this load, having adequate form on the movements involved? And if I can do the form with adequate form, but I'm doing a lot of singles and there's a lot of standing around in between the reps, I need to go lighter and I need to go faster. Because that is, guys, the physiological benefits of working out at an intense level is what makes CrossFit uniquely beneficial for your body and helping you be as fit for as long as you can be fit in life, for your whole life. And that intensity level when I'm 70 will not be the same as when I was 40. But it still means at 70, I'm pushing as hard as I can for the given time frame on what I'm doing. And that is a very fleeting skill set, because as soon as you don't practice that, what your maximal level of output is, there could be a hard ceiling on that. Your body won't let you go there anymore. And now there's also a hard ceiling on the benefits and how fit you can be by using CrossFit as a methodology. So you guys, if you're listening to this, you train you train constantly varied functional movements done at high intensity. If you're not doing high intensity, you're not doing CrossFit. It's time to go do something else unless mentally you are strong enough to go there, to go to that dark place, as we call it, to go down in that hole, to let your lungs be on fire for whatever time frame it is. Because if most of our workouts are 20 minutes or less and we're going to get results, you have to work hard for that time frame. That's why up until CrossFit, everybody was working out for an hour, 2 hours plus, because they weren't going intensely. So you had to work for a long time and you weren't getting the same benefits. You work longer, and yes, it's better than nothing, but you've never seen the kind of fitness that CrossFit has developed because intensity has never been emphasized like it is in this. And that's why it's not for everyone. Anybody can do it at all ages and all walks of life. Anybody can do it, but it's not for everybody. And you have to decide for yourself, am I the kind of person that's willing to go to that level? All right, guys, let me know what you think. Right on.